day. Yeah, not the right time though. Thanks, Keith.
Yeah.
You got stuff to do. But welcome. Thanks for joining us for this Friday's episode of our Honor-Bound IT live stream. Happy to have you. Glad you joined us. And Keith, what have we got going on today?
Well, I think we're going to be talking about some more scam updates.
That's the big one.
That's the big one. So there's always a lot going around with that, and we'll talk about that this live stream. And then also, sometimes just because you can do something doesn't always mean you should do something.
Yep, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And let's save that one to the last.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about spoofing phone calls. We'll have a little short cybersecurity tip come up on that. And then we got a couple other things there, Keith.
Yeah, solid state hard drives. We always talk about those, and the computers we still have those, and how sometimes replacing those can give your computer a new sense of purpose.
Yeah, a new lease on life.
Lease on life. And then
old and tired.
Yeah. Nope, that'll help it out for sure. And then you mentioned October 25th, 2025. Save the date. Yeah,
that's kind of like that's a big one. Yeah. We got to think about that date.
Okay.
Just for a minute. But before we get into all that, we're going to have our little shameless plug here for 15 seconds.
The Residential Protection Plan by Honor-Bound IT is the best support and service for home computer users. You get top-notch antivirus, backup, and remote support. Plus, if you need in-store service, it's free. Visit us at 109 Norris Avenue, McCook, or call 877-686-6642. Your digital peace of mind starts here.
Welcome back, and we're going to get right into it, Keith. We're going to do a little bit about a scammer update, and you are really busy today. So I didn't bother you a whole lot with content, but I like to read the Microsoft Start page, and I generally hide it for productivity purposes. But we had a couple quiet hours, and so I did a little bit more reading, and there was kind of like a scam that I kind of wanted to bring up. And just bear with me for a second. I grab the laptop here. All right. Got to wake it up here. And Jennifer, flip over to the laptop, please. There we go. So there was this article on the page, and it's a ransomware ploy that is coming up now, and it's kind of like a three-prong type deal, where what they do is they get your phone number, they get your email address, and then they spam you with all kinds of calls and emails and all that sort of stuff, saying they're from Microsoft, of course, because that's the ploy. But the thing with this is, unlike the classic tech support scams that we've been seeing, the scammers are getting to be a whole lot more malicious. And they're using tools that Microsoft has in its drawer for legitimate purpose, called a little program called Quick Assist, which we use from time to time if we got a customer that does not have maybe our software isn't working for the remote control, or maybe they're not like a regular client and we need to help them over the phone with something. Or we're setting them up remotely for the residential protection plan or whatever, or they get a new computer. But that useful tool can be used for nefarious purposes as well. And so these guys have exploited all of that sort of stuff where, they'll start, trying to get money out of you, obviously. And when you don't acquiesce to their request and you've already let them on, or, what have you, or, they've got your email address and they're sending you all these emails with all these attachments and stuff, signing you up for a whole bunch of services that you might not necessarily have requested, that gets to be problematic. And so people start getting ransomware. So, of course, somebody's calling while we're online. And they're being very persistent. Anyways, we will call you back when we're done. So anyways, just wanted to let people know that there are issues going on with these people that are fake tech support callers and scammers. Just hang up on them. If you get a pop-up on your screen, 800 number or whatever, just close the screen. Don't believe them. If you're stuck, give us a call. We'd rather you call us than get had, because we have that happen every week, several times a week. We don't like people losing money or having to reload your operating system and starting from scratch with your stuff just because you let somebody on your computer. So, moving on. So I'll let you take the just because you can.
Just because you can. That came because somebody had a laptop, right? That had Windows 10.
Yep.
And occasionally you get an update and it'll say, oh, this laptop qualifies for Windows 11. And download now and get the latest and greatest and everything like that. And not all laptops are created equally, unfortunately. And, some laptops, they were made for Windows 10 and then Windows 11 came out in the future. So, this instance, I think we had a laptop come in. It was, coming up at about 5 years old, and it was released with the Windows 10 operating system on it and, running just fine and things like that. And then they got the update for the Windows 11 and then they installed that and things kind of took a turn for the worse. The laptop just didn't act right, wasn't as fast as it used to be. Things just seemed to be going, the performance just kind of dropped for them because, like I said, it was built for Windows 10. They're trying to run Windows 11 on it, and now Windows 11 has a lot of hardware requirements that you have to meet. And there are ways probably to bypass that, but a lot of times it's not the right way to do it. Unfortunately, if you're on that Windows 10 machine and you're wanting to go to Windows 11, you may want to do a bit of research to make sure that your laptop or computer is actually able to run it and run it decently, so that way you're not having a poor experience.
Well, and I think it goes to like the minimum system requirements are just that. They're the minimum system requirements to make it run. That doesn't mean you're going to like it very much after you start it up. And in this case, it was probably one of those $300 Walmart or big box store jobs, like the low end of the totem pole that, had 4 gigs of RAM. It had a Pentium processor, the just very entry level and 5 years old. And it also had a rotational drive, which did not help things either. And we'll talk about the difference in that here in just a little bit. But yeah, they're waiting for 15 minutes to go. Well, maybe that's a stretch, but they're waiting for, 2-3 minutes to go from one web page to the next. And I tried to remotely help this person, but there was just no way. So we thought, well, maybe let's see what we can do to upgrade this machine. And we ended up doing something for them, which we're going to talk about here next. But yeah, especially like if it's 5 years old, if you're having even remotely a little bit of problems, you probably should be thinking about doing something different anyways. But if you want an honest opinion, and you're not sure of whether you should upgrade or replace, we're all ears. We're all happy to help you, because your time is worth something too. Even your personal time, you only get so much. can't manufacture any more of it. So otherwise, all of it, otherwise we would be rich. And I would share with you, Keith.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So we put it, so, we did take this particular machine and put it back to Windows 10. And, because that's what it came with. And I had a solid state drive kicking around. So he's a friend of mine. So I went, well, I'm going to surprise him. And I put a solid state drive in there for him. Actually, had you do it. And it runs like a top now.
Yeah. And, the other thing we were talking about, not just the hard drive, the solid state hard drive, that's going to make any computer go run a lot smoother. Your hard disk is, pretty much half of how fast your computer is going to be. And if you're buying computers out there with a rotational hard disk, your experience is not going to be nearly as good as if you had that solid state hard drive, which helps your computer start up faster. It helps your websites, switch back and forth faster instead of waiting 2 minutes to load up a website. You're going to have just a better overall experience.
Yep, opening up your files is going to be quicker. Everything's quicker. Anything that you have to recall is going to be much, much, much faster. And they're more reliable. Mm-hmm. Now, typically these days, it's pretty hard to buy a computer with a rotational drive in it. Most of them all come with solid states. They might have a secondary larger drive, like, for instance, the computer that we have here that we run the live stream with has a 500 gig, I think, solid state drive, and then a 1 terabyte secondary rotational drive, just for stuff where we want to archive it, that we're not going to be opening it up all the time, but we might want to reference it once in a while. But, if you got an older machine, a slightly older machine, now maybe you bought it 3 years ago or something like that, 2-3 years ago, and it's got a rotational drive in it, putting a solid state drive, it almost makes it like a new machine, if that's what kind of performance you're used to. And they've dropped in price. I mean, it used to be a huge price differential in between solid state and rotational. And you can buy rotational, like gigantic rotational drives, way more than you'll ever use. You can buy them, for cheap. But, we looked at solid state drives today. What was it? $50 for a 500 gig. Mm-hmm. And for most of us that are using OneDrive or Google Drive or what have you, you're not storing all your stuff on your local machine anyways. So why spend the extra money? It's like really cheap.
Yeah.
Really cheap upgrade. So.
Yeah. Well, that, and then, another thing that people can think about, and like you said, we always want to give you an honest opinion on, is this laptop or computer worth investing a little money in, or is it time to move on? And age is obviously a big factor, but if it's, if it's something that you really want to do and, want to prolong that life, the solid state hard drive is definitely an upgrade. And the memory, the RAM is one thing that we looked at.
That was a dirt cheap upgrade too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
that's like $20,
Yeah. And then they're on the service, so they don't have to pay for any labor. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just finding that RAM, and that's the other part of the computer that's going to help your performance and have a good experience. So you obviously get the model of the laptop, you look up, see if you can find the compatible RAM with it. We found the compatible RAM, and so we're going to make the switch and upgrade the RAM as well, not just the solid state hard drive. So those two things right there, it's not the full cost of a new computer. But if it's something that, hey, I need just to get by, maybe another year, maybe 2 more years on this machine before I can make that larger investment into a new machine, those are some of the options that we can present to you to say, okay, well, yes, spending $1,500 on a new computer may not be right now. Let's, spend a couple $100 now and try to get this computer going for you for at least another year. And we can do that. Now, obviously, if the computer is really old, we don't want to sink a bunch of money into it because, hardware failure can can go down a
Yeah,
rabbit
or
hole.
if it's having problems, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like physical problems, like 4 years is pretty much about the outside of when we stop recommending, you know, pieces parts, because one piece part might break today and it might work for the rest of the machine might work forever or it might work for 2 weeks, you know, but then you're still stuck with a machine that doesn't have warranty, right?
Exactly.
Or backup service if you're not on any particular protection plan. So yeah.
Yeah, so we have a couple different options. You know, we always want to give you the decision.
Yep.
So
Some people absolutely love the machine that they have.
yeah, they do.
We had one lady here the other week that she has a new machine at her house, but she loves this one. And can you fix this one? Absolutely, we can fix this one. We took care of her, and she'll get to use it for another little bit until October 25th, 2025.
Oh, important day.
Yeah, that's
huh?
a very important date. So, I mean, that's another thing that comes into the fray, you know, is that operating systems and softwares are not supported forever. And Windows 10 is going to be end of life October 25th, 2025. So, you know, that has to also play into your decision. You know, you have something going on wrong with your computer. Windows 10 is not eligible to go to Windows 11, or you shouldn't put it to Windows 11. You know, you have to kind of go, well, how much time am I going to get out of this? So how much dollars am I paying per year for computing? You know, usually a couple $100 is probably about right for most home users. You know, $200-300 for the computer itself, not the services and the rest of it.
Yeah.
But you know, to have like a good, productive, enjoyable experience, you know, because nobody likes to wait for their equipment. We want to be the slow part of the equation. We don't want the computer to be the slow part. So yeah.
Yeah, and that, you know, we actually had a computer come in yesterday, and you know, this computer was pretty old. I could tell because it had a sticker on the computer that said Windows 8, and I think Windows 8 had to upgrade to Windows 10, right? Mm-hmm. They did a free upgrade, so they bought it when Windows 8 was released, and probably used it for a year or two, and then got that free upgrade to Windows 10. And Windows 10 has been out since 2015.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah, so, you know, almost 9 years. So the computer was obviously older than 9 years. It was still working. Everything was still going fine with it.
And we fixed it.
And we fixed it. But, you know, just having the conversation, you know, well, that's Windows 10. Yeah, this is a great computer, but, you know, you got about, 15, 16 more months left. And, you know, you're going to...
And we were asked to put can we put Windows 11
yeah.
on? It's like, no, I'm sorry. Your machine does not qualify hardware-wise.
Yeah. We can probably buy a new motherboard and some new RAM and new
put it all together.
hard drive. And we could buy all that equipment.
Charge you a whole bunch of labor.
And
Not worth it.
yeah, you'll end up spending more money than you would be if you just went and bought a new computer that already had Windows 11 pre-installed. So, you know, these are things that we talk about people when they have these older Windows 10 computers coming in. They're not eligible for the upgrades. Hey, you know, it's going to get you by for now, but come October next year, you know, you better have a plan in place to upgrade. Otherwise, you're going to be using an unsupported operating system, which puts you at risk for anything that you can do online. There's going to be vulnerabilities. There's not going to be no updates for that. And, you know, antivirus can only do so much. But when the operating system itself is not supported anymore and they're not doing any security updates and things like that, these scammers and hackers know when this is going to go offline. So, you know, probably that first week.
Actually, on YouTube, I was looking the other day, didn't watch the whole video. I watched it just for a few minutes, where they took like a Windows 98 machine and put it online just to see how fast it could catch a Trojan. And it was like seconds.
Jeez.
You know, because these people are professionals. They're out there looking. you know, for ways to exploit you or cause problems.
Yeah. They had internet in Windows 98, huh?
Yeah, they did.
How do they hook it up to the internet? They have an adapter?
Modem.
A modem?
But there were network cards back then.
Okay.
Yeah, 98.
Jeez.
That was right around the beginning of the internet. 90. I'm not sure how much. 95. Windows 95 was modem and AOL stuff.
Okay.
If I remember, it's too long ago. Don't put my feet to the fire at any of this.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I'm actually remembering. Oh yeah, there were.
But yeah, you had Netscape.
Yeah, Netscape, and I remember the chat rooms and the.
Yep, IRC chat rooms.
Yep.
That's how my wife and me met. Was on Merck.
On a Windows
MIRC.
On a Windows 98 computer.
It might have been. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that it was. Yeah.
The World Wide Web came out April 30th, 93.
What's that?
The World Wide Web came out April
Yeah.
30th, 93.
Yep. And 90.
The public.
It was Windows 98 SE.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure that we were still chatting on 98. Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah, the days before cat videos, right?
Yeah. Yeah. When was the first cat video posted online? That's
I don't know.
I'm going to say May.
question.
You said April 30th, the internet came out. I'm going to say May 1st,
Yeah.
1993, the first cat video uploaded. No, they didn't have videos. It was images.
No, and I remember like Peggy used to get really ticked off with me because, you know, of course, I was in the computer business back then still. And in that one that I was selling just a buttload of like computers. And I had one of the early digital cameras. And, you know, sending a picture now is like no big deal, but it would be like 15 minutes for one picture. And she'd, quit sending me those. You're filling up my email.
Jeez.
Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah. We've come a long way.
Yeah. Didn't know I was going to have to reminisce. And then what else did we have?
Well, I think we got our cyber tip for this week.
Yeah,
coming
we do.
Up.
Yep. It's going to be on spoofing numbers.
Spoof phone numbers. Okay.
It's Keith with hair. Lots of it.
In the world of phone calls, scammers use a sneaky trick called caller ID spoofing. But what does that mean, and how can you avoid falling for it? Let's break it down in simpler terms. Caller ID spoofing is when scammers change the number that shows up on your caller ID to make it look like they're calling from someone you know or trust. They do this to trick you into answering the call or calling back thinking it's safe. They might use numbers from banks, government agencies, or even your own area code to make it seem real. This makes it more likely that you'll pick up the call and give them personal information. It can lead to identity theft, losing money, or other problems. Protecting yourself from caller ID spoofing is about being careful. Here's 3 things you can do. 1. If you get a call from a number you don't know or something seems weird, don't feel pressured to answer or call back. 2. If you're unsure about a call, ask for more information or call back through official channels just to be sure. And 3. Consider using apps or services that block unwanted calls to keep scammers away. By staying alert and following these tips, you can protect yourself from falling for caller ID spoofing scams. Remember, it's better to be safe than sorry when it comes to your personal info and safety.
So while you were watching that video, Jennifer looked up when the first cat video was, and we're not sure like what the first cat video was, but we know the first one on YouTube was in 2005, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
A pivotal moment in history, folks.
it was. And ever since then, there have been all kinds of cat videos. In fact, we use cat videos for troubleshooting, right? Mm-hmm. Yep, when we're having issues. What's that, Kitty?
Kitten Academy.
Kitten Academy, yeah.
Yeah, they got a live stream set up, like, you know how they got like the live stream of like, you know, the eagle on the mountain or the zoo, the hippo at the zoo, or whatever they got. somebody turned their house into a studio for cats.
Yep. So if you like watching cats, then that's a good place for you to look. We have a cat picture today.
Huh.
It was rather small, so we're sorry it's a little blurry. But yeah, this is Ned and Claire. They are lovers.
Oh.
And they like to just kind of do that all day. Lay down, sleep, bathe each other. The Mutual Bathing Club.
Yes. I have seen cats do that.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so very much for joining us. We appreciated that you watched this video. God bless you if you watched it to the end. We're going to dance our way out of here.
That's right.
To the music that we can't hear, but you can. We hope that you have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you then.